Please share with me your first, last name, where you're located, and the name of your business.
Sure. Dennis Meador. I do go by DM, kind of friends, family, things like that. So if you're more comfortable with Dennis, that's fine. DM is fine. I actually live in on an island in Belize. San Pedro is the name of the town. Most people would know it as like there was a song in the 80s from Madonna's. Last night I dreamed of San Pedro. La Isla Bonita, that song, right? So
Yes.
that's where I live. I've been here about 2.5 years. My company's based out of Austin. I was in Austin for about a decade, made a lot of relationships there. But when you own a remote virtual company, why would I live someplace that I have to commute in different? If I run errands, it takes me 5 hours to get from one side of town to the other and back and forth. When I now live on an island, I jump on the golf cart and a long trip is 15 minutes each way. So yeah, that's who I am. That's where I'm at. My company is called the Legal Podcast Network.
Okay.
And essentially, what we do is turnkey podcasting for the legal industry, both attorneys and people who market to attorneys, because we have such a big marketing system. We're able to kind of work with those businesses as well. We have like certified financial planners that focus on lawyers. We have a guy that has an AI company that is all for law firms, things like that, where we work with individuals like that, all the way to like your standard personal injury attorney, corporate attorney, whatever it is. Anybody who their differentiating factor is what's going on here.
Mm,
If what makes them different than their competition is what's here, then we want to take that and we want to put that into the place where over 80% of people now use to solely find their attorney, which is the internet.
yes.
So many attorneys will be like, listen, if I can get them to sit in front of me, and I'm like, listen, it's not 2018.
Yes.
82% are going to check out your website. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to see your review. They're going to do all of this. And then they'll decide if they're going to call you. And if they call you, you're nothing but a commodity on a list. And their
Mhm,
first question is going to be, how much is it? And
mhm.
that's just not a great dynamic for a lawyer. So that's who we are. In essence, that's what we do is we help attorneys build authority and build thought leadership, establish authoritative positioning. That's really the key. And really with any business, if you can establish authoritative positioning
Yes.
where when people are coming to you as the expert that they want to work with versus coming to you and saying, well, how much and how are you better than that guy? It totally changes the dynamic. Your conversion rates will go from 10, 20% to 70, 80%. Your time spent with people that you don't want to spend time with will reduce drastically. We
Mm,
also focus on helping them cultivate their ideal client profile. And so you're spending time only talking to people whose cases you would actually want to take instead of being like, man, I don't really want to take this case, but I gotta pay the rent. So let me take this case. So that's what we really focus on helping attorneys do. And eventually we will be branching out into other professional realms as well. But I've worked with attorneys for 21 years. So it
wow.
was a very natural thing for me to say, we're going to build this program for attorneys because I know what they need and I know what they think they need. And so I present them what they think they need while giving them what they need.
Got it. I love that. Need is the specific word.
Exactly.
Interesting enough. So I just want to help myself define this. You have you have bring legal individuals, lawyers, to create a podcast to separate themselves from others that are down that list that allows people to get to know them by way of discussion like we're having and set them apart. Is that correct?
Correct, but it's more of a FAQ sort of situation. So I like to use this illustration if, like, divorce attorney, let's just say I type in divorce attorney Austin, Texas, and I get 100 attorneys.
Yes.
So the only point of differentiation at that point is cost. But
Yes.
what if I know a divorce is coming, maybe because of me, maybe because of my spouse, I could just feel things are fishy. I'm a high net worth individual. And so I go online and I'm like, listen, I know that she's probably going to get the house or he's, whatever, custody. But they might go, what happens to a second home during a divorce?
Mhm,
What
mhm.
happens to a boat during a divorce? What is the difference between joint custody, split custody, blah, blah, blah? So they go in and they start, most people who are more on the intellectual side of
Mhm,
things, they
mhm.
research before they make decisions.
Yes, yes,
A
yes.
lot of people just attorney, Austin, that's not research.
No.
That's just a list.
Yes.
That's just like walking into the store and saying, oh, here's a cereal box aisle. What kind of cereal do I want? And, they all have the same label. And you're just, and you have no, what do they taste like? What are they, what are the ingredients? You know, none of that. You just see 50 cereal boxes that all look exactly the same. Well, it's the same thing with attorneys now, and a lot of professions out there. You could say chiropractors, just
Yeah.
anything where there's been a commoditization of their industry through the internet. So now what we're able to do is essentially take one of those box tops and say, okay, now this box top says that you're an expert in high net worth divorces. And it has podcasts where you're answering questions. And it has reels and shorts on all your social media where you're answering questions. And it has FAQ content on your website that answers questions specific to that person's individual issue. So now you're cultivating your ideal client to come to you who's already know and like, and all they have to do is confirm for the trust, and they're your client. So we're really, here's what I tell my clients, because I mostly work with 1 to 10s. So 1 to 10 in the office. I say, listen, you got 2 choices in order to get ahead in marketing. Number 1, you can outspend your competition. Now, if you have 3 employees, you're not going to outspend the guys who bought every billboard for 20 miles, every television ad for you're just not going to do it. They spend more in a month than your firm makes in a year.
Yes.
So what do? Do you just sit back and go, well, I hope I get a referral? Or do you say, okay, I can't outspend them, but I can outposition them?
Yes.
So that when somebody who fits my ideal client goes online and starts doing their research, now I've got all this hyper specific content that shows my expertise, my competence, that answers their questions, it provides clarity, it assuages their fears. And now I have an advantage that I just paid hundreds of dollars a month and a half hour of my time to establish versus all these big guys paying millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Makes all the sense in the world. And it sort of brings me back to a lot of SEO, like just system optimization, just making sure that that person stands out when they're searched for. And that's definitely different, because I don't think that I've ever heard it in a legal perspective. And I love the fact that you're saying frequently asked questions, because as you mentioned, sometimes when they're searching, money's not the problem. It's who's the specialist. It's like, what is your expertise? And I need to know that. And I'm not going to spend time on the telephone calling every office to figure out what your expertise is. Got it.
Exactly. And you think about it this way, like no one goes, you need a heart surgeon.
Yes.
Well, let me go to the internet. Let me check them out. Let me look. They're just like, I need a heart surgeon. You tell me. It used to be that same way with lawyers. But it's not that way anymore. So how do they get back to that place? Is by using earned media, YouTube, shorts, reels, social media, website. And the good thing about doing all of these things, creating this ecosystem of content that's consistent, is it does help with search engine optimization and eventually AI engine optimization. So you're feeding the beast while establishing yourself as an expert and an authority.
Absolutely. Because as I learn, and speaking to guests such as yourself, who's an expert in what you do, I'm realizing that once that you put that information in AI, and you specifically, as the example that you used, a divorce lawyer who specifically ... you could put that in there and it starts pulling everything from everywhere. So I get that. I like that. Interesting enough. I know you said you've been working with lawyers for 21 years. Were you a lawyer?
Nope, never been a lawyer. Honestly, I have 2 years at an unaccredited Bible Institute in the middle of Ohio. I got into marketing when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I had my first business at 14, got into marketing at 19, and I just learned, like, I thought it was intriguing. It made sense to me. I loved branding. It was kind of a natural thing for me. And so I just took and started, started a business. I started one in like 2021, was able to retire for 4 or 5 years, lived in Europe. I've had 3 companies that I've taken from 0 to 3 to 5 million in 1 to 3 years, or 0 or less than $1 million, I should say. 3 companies that I've done that for. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. We were talking in the green room beforehand, and you were talking about, like, people don't get where they're at overnight, right? And it's like, I have a company right now. We're not quite, we're a little over 10 months old.
Okay.
10 months ago, there was me and 2 people. I now have 25 or so people on my team. We're bringing on 3 more, so we're going to be closer to 30.
Okay.
I have have about 100 clients. And I
Mm.
literally come in every day and we have a list of people just, hey, can we talk to you? Can we talk to you? I have 3 sales guys and I just ship this off to them. Whereas even 3 months ago, I did all the sales and I ran the company and I did all that. But where did that come from? That didn't come from me waking up at 47 years old with a brain full of knowledge. It came
Yes.
from learning lessons about partnerships and how to structure them so you don't get burned, because I've had that happen a few times. How to manage people in a remote environment, which I've done for the majority of my career.
Yeah.
How to build teams, how to recognize character, how to get people to buy into the vision of the company, how to get people to be emotionally invested in
Yes.
the success of clients when they're just all they do all day is make shorts and reels. But, I do things like, for example, everybody in my company, when we have a client, everybody who touches that client through the process. So if they're the editor for the long form, they make the short form videos, they make the social media posts, they make the social media distribution, they do client follow-ups with them, they do the FAQ stuff, they place it on the website. Every person that touches that account through their 4-month cycle, when they renew in the 5th month and shoot their first podcast for the next cycle, every single one of those people get a small bonus.
Mm.
Now, might not seem like a lot, but when you have 100 people that you do that for,
Yes.
now all of a sudden you're getting a nice little $400, $500, $600 bonus
Yes.
just for doing your job right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that gets buy-in, because to them, like, if they screw up, because they also have to have like 90% accuracy on this, they can't be behind like, certain benchmarks to be eligible for that.
Yeah.
But, realistic benchmarks, not 100% this and 100, but,
Yeah.
90, 95% where, yeah, every once in a while something's going to slip through, but for the most part, we're doing a good job. They have those benchmarks. So they're watching those benchmarks because they know once things start rolling around every month, there's $500, $600 on the line for them.
Yes.
So it's things like that, running a remote company. And you talked about a lot of solopreneurs and small companies.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, I've been a solopreneur. I've had companies of 2 or 3 people. I've had companies of 30. I've had companies of 75, 100 people. I've had companies of, 30, 40 people. In this day and age, there should be no such thing as a solopreneur. If
Mm.
you're doing everything, you're doing everything wrong.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is that stuff that you're spending 3 hours answering emails and filtering out and building spreadsheets. There is somebody in the Philippines that you could pay $3, $4 an hour, which is 2 to 3 times what all of their neighbors are making for other work. So you're not, some people are like, oh, I don't like to offshore. It's like, listen, I've had the same VA for 4 years.
Oh,
She
wow.
knows me. She knows, what I do, how I do it. She manages my email. She does all this. She does all that. When I first hired her, she was making $3 an hour, which was double what the average income in her city, Manila, was.
Mm-hmm.
She now, after 4 years, makes $9 an hour with me.
Mm-hmm.
She literally will get on the line and say, you have no idea how much you've changed my family. Like, like her parents live with her. She's got kids. She's just like my whole, like we went on literally I've had employees in other countries tell me this is the first time I've ever been able to go on a vacation in my life.
Oh, wow.
And so you can impact people, and it's like, oh, well, I got to hire American. Sure. Hire somebody that makes $30 an hour, that's going to be irritated and say, that's not in my job description. If you want to do that, that's fine. And listen, half my team is in the US, so I'm not disparaging US workers.
Yes.
But when
Yes.
it comes to certain types of tasks
Yes.
that can be done offshore, you should not be spending time doing that. You should be offshore. You should be offshoring that. You should be handing that off. And if you're great at sales, you need to be selling the shit out of your stuff. Sorry
Yes.
if you don't allow cussing on your show, but you should be selling like crazy.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm of the opinion, especially for the founder, the more that your best people are only doing the things that only they can do,
Mm-hmm.
the stronger your company is.
Yes.
Because so many people, it's like, I'll have somebody be like, oh, I've been working on this spreadsheet for 3 hours. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why didn't you hand that off to so-and-so and let them do it? You are good at this, and that job I pay $40 an hour for.
Yeah.
That other job I could pay $3 an hour for. Why are you doing that? So in today's day and age, between AI and
Yep.
between offshoring, there's really should be no such thing as one person doing everything, because it is extremely affordable for you to find alternate ways for, even if you just start off with things like Motion app, or I use a thing called sidecoach.ai, which is it's like a coaching for business owners. And I
What?
literally just speak into it. I speak into it, and it literally has everything that I need to do. It has timelines, it has the steps. And all I do is I say, I need to build a onboarding series, a 5-video series onboarding with 3 action items at the end of each. So when a client comes on, they get 5 days of automated videos. And so every step is there. I go through the step, it disseminates it, it's done, and I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where we live. So if you're small, maybe you just want a job. And there's 3 kinds of business owners, right? There's people that wanted to create their own job because they didn't want to work for anybody. Those people aren't looking to hire people and have struggles and be frustrated. They just want enough to make money and live their life. And
Yeah.
that's fine. I don't disrespect that.
Yeah.
Then there's people who want to build a business. Now, a business has them at the center of it. It has X amount of people around them, and it'll do a certain amount, probably top out 1, 3, 5 million. But then there's people that want to build a company. And people that want to build a company understand the company isn't about what I want. It's about what the market wants and what my people need. So
Yeah.
how do I build an ecosystem, a mechanism for success, not just for me, but for the people that work with me and have bought into my vision, and for the people that we serve, most importantly. And so I think most business owners need to sit down and ask themselves, why did I start this business? Did I just start it because I don't want anybody to tell me what to do and I want to be
Yes.
my own boss? That's fine. You're going to make your 150 grand a year. You're going to work for yourself, or whatever the dollar amount is. I'm just throwing that out there. And that's fine. I don't disrespect you for that. Did I want a business where I have to be involved in everything and I'm in the middle and I feel important and I drive up to the office and there's this sign that says president only, and like, some people, that's just what they want
Yes.
in life. They want that bravado.
Yes.
Hey, no, I built both of those first kinds of businesses.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't know where I'm coming from, but now I've said, listen, I know from mistakes and from victories how to build a company from scratch.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing, is building a company where, so we do this all the time in my company and my team. And tell me if I'm running over your time, because
No,
I'll literally talk an hour straight. But I share the vision of the company with people. I'm like, okay, guys, in the next 6 months, we want this, and this initiative done. We want this, and this many clients. We want this, and this margins.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, and for myself, this is what I want to accomplish. And I'll have like what I call vision casting meetings. And then I just get like random texts from people, or we use a Discord server that we have built for and I spent $100 and it's way more fun than Slack and all that dry corporate stuff. We have all kinds of GIFs and GIFs, if you don't know what a GIF is,
Yes.
and memes, and we just all day bouncing back and forth, having a good time, but getting shit done, right?
Yes.
So creating that culture of like connectedness, even in a remote environment, but understanding that I'm building a company, and I'll have them literally be like, hey, my goal this year is I want to move here. I want to make X amount of money. I want to put this much money in the bank. In order to do that, I need to earn this much money. I didn't ask for that. That wasn't me. That was them saying to me, hey, we're all about goals here, and I wanted to be accountable to you for my goals.
Yes. Yes.
Unsolicited, because of the culture that we create.
Dennis, you've said, and not in a negative way, you've said an awful lot that I believe the listener can really, really take from you. And that's determining what type of business you want, right? Do you want to just be the head honcho? Or do you want just a business with a few people that makes, 6 figures? Or do you want a company? That also says a lot about, if you're going to do this and it's just your little small business, the exit plan is a little bit different. So there's an exit plan to everything else. I think you also made a great point about togetherness and the camaraderie and being able to have a business where you guys are all on the same page. But one of the things that I really, really love to hear my guests and people such as yourself talk about is not worrying about spending the money, right? If that's not your strength, then it's going to take that's going to you're going to spend most of your time doing Excel spreadsheets. But if you can do that, so it's almost like the word delegation, right?
Oh
Delegating
yeah.
and being okay with knowing that that's not your strength. But a lot of people don't do that. So again, that comes back, Dennis, to the fact of why are most businesses failing is because I believe it's my strongest belief that we're all wearing too many hats and not
Mhm.
really trying to give it up or delegate it to the right people that have the right strength for the right job and the right
And
duty.
and I'll even say this, it's not even about that's not your strength.
Hmm.
It's not your best strength. So,
Hmm.
like me, sales process development, marketing, I'm a brand evangelist. I tend to come off as having pretty high energy. I hear that a lot on the shows where they're just like, man, I didn't expect that,
Yeah.
you know. But, being a brand evangelist, branding, systems, we always talk about better, faster, less friction. Everything
Mm.
we do, we want to do it better, we want to do it faster, and we want there to be less friction, whether it's for our clients, internally, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
one delegation is probably the biggest reason that most companies stop at building their own job or getting to two or three people.
Yes.
I'll raise you from saying don't do it if you're not good at it,
Hmm.
and I'll raise you to say if you can train somebody to be 75% as good at it as you are, then you
Yes.
need to delegate that off as well,
Yes.
because everyone's like, oh, I just don't have time. And it's like, so you don't have 30 minutes to train somebody one time. So you're going to take 2 hours every week for the rest of your life to do it.
Hmm.
Tell
Hmm.
me how that's logical, Mr. Business or Miss Business Owner. Like, it doesn't make sense, So
Yes.
if you can train somebody
Yeah.
to do as well as you can at a 75% mark, and that's everything. They look at that. Oh, if I did it, it's like, if you did it, then you wouldn't have done the other thing. You
Absolutely.
just landed a $30,000 a month client. If you'd have been fucking around with spreadsheets the whole time, that client wouldn't be there and no one would be getting paid.
Yes.
So what are
Yes.
you doing?
Yes. Yes.
So, and I'm not trying, like,
I
here's the
love
thing.
that.
I got a background as a Baptist preacher. I was a Baptist preacher for about 20 years. So I try to stay out of that, like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Bible, it says, so I'm trying to get
Yes.
I try to have that like positive, like energy, but
Yes.
still be able to say hard things. They say
But
hard
then
things
it's
with
just
a
your
smile.
passion. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
it's your
passionate
passion.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could I swear I could feel it. But what's so cool about it is knowing that you have experience in so much that's where the passion comes in at. It's not like you just said and you intervened and said, "Hey, I have the experience. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying right now." And with all of
Successful people are people who have failed several times.
absolutely. And I tell you that quote is everywhere, and people should look at it and realize that they're not the only one. You're not
The
the
other thing I would the other thing I would encourage people, because this was hugely encouraging to me, because started my first business, like I said, early 20s. I was making like 350 a year in the early 2000s. I thought I'm gonna be a millionaire by 30. There's
only.
no way I can't. 30 comes and goes, no millionaire. Another
Mm,
couple of businesses in my 30s took off. I could have franchised them, blah, blah, blah. Marriage issues, whatever, doesn't matter. Same thing. By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be a millionaire. I know it. I just know it. Not there yet. Now I'm
yes.
40, now 47, live on an island. I live a life that most people wish they could live
Yeah.
despite the money. Like, I know that I'm privileged in the sense of, like, but I built this life on purpose. I
Absolutely.
built a remote company. I built a group of people that they're used to seeing me with different backdrops, when I'm traveling. I'm in Thailand, I'm in Bali, I'm here, I'm there. They're used to seeing that. So to them, they're not like, oh, our owner, he's just never, like, that's the style of
Yes.
of
Yes.
leadership that we have.
Yeah.
But like being able to come forward and just be like, listen, I failed, I've learned, I've grown, and now here I am, and I know what not to do, and
Yes.
that's much more important than knowing what to do. The other
Absolutely.
thing I will say is I foster an atmosphere that accepts failure.
Mhm.
And not a lot of businesses do that.
Yes.
And when you do that, where you foster a high tolerance for failure, then that makes people where they're not afraid to make decisions.
Absolutely.
Like we started off with just a few clients, and we start off in spreadsheets, and then we went to Monday, and then we went to teamwork, and now we're in ClickUp for
Mhm.
all of our project management. It's been like a 6-month project where we tried it and failed and tried it and failed. And I had 2 of my directors, and I was like, hey guys, because they pulled me in for a question, and I
Mhm.
answered the question, and then I stopped and I said, let me go back in this meeting. I was like, guys, why did you need me to answer that? Did you not know the answer? And they were like, we actually did. And I said, okay, so help me understand. Have I done something
To make
that has put you in a position to be afraid to make decisions where if you fail, it's going to cause some sort of, you
Mhm.
know, circumstance for you that it's going to make you uncomfortable? And they're like, no, like we know you. And they're just like, and we all 3 worked together. I had a different business partner before, and they're just like, remember, we worked for so and so. And so we're kind of like afraid to make decisions because he would just come ream us and tell us the right way to do it. And I'm like, guys, you've worked with me now directly for a year, because they were in a different division before working directly for my old partner. And I said, listen, guys, I trust you to make decisions. I
Mhm.
said, look at this whole thing of us being in ClickUp now.
Yeah.
I led that whole thing,
Yeah.
and I failed 3 times before I succeeded.
Mhm.
Do you think that I'm going to give myself more grace than I'm going to give to you? And most people would, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm going
Yes.
to give you grace. As long as you're moving, if you don't move, I have a problem. But if you're moving and trying to figure it
Mhm.
out, now, motion creates that centrifugal force where
Absolutely.
eventually it's like water, right? Water
Yes.
keeps going like this until it finds that path, and then it goes smooth. And
Absolutely.
most business owners, they're just like, oh, the water's going crazy. Just shut off the spigot. We can't do it. It's like, wait a minute. The water's trying to find the riverbed. And
Mhm.
now it's found the riverbed, and it's flowing beautifully, or the creek bed, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same thing in business. We have to be willing to be like, okay, we tried this, it didn't work. We tried this, it didn't work. Always understanding that there's going to be failures, but failures lead to success. And
Absolutely.
with that mind frame, I read a quote recently. I think I put it up on my Facebook, but it was something like, the difference between success and not success is how often you're willing to fail.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And that's just really what it is.
Absolutely.
And I'll say one last thing. Again, we've probably gone a little over, but one thing that really encouraged me is I read I don't know if it was an article or a chapter in a book, but it was about the first generation millionaire.
Mm.
And the first generation millionaire is in their 50s. They've had 3 to 5 failed businesses.
Mhm.
They've filed bankruptcy 2.5 times.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked on paper, and they give you example after example after example of people who we know in society. Think
Yes.
about the guy who owns, is it Alibaba? Is that the one out of China?
I don't know.
Alibaba is like the Amazon of China.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That guy who owns that is like a billionaire.
Mm.
Well, he like had 3 like normal everyday jobs, failed out. Like, until he was like 40 something or 50, he was literally considered like the family failure. And now
Mm.
he's a billionaire because he just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. You can
Yeah.
look it up if you're watching this. I think it's Alibaba. Probably there's some people going, it's not Alibaba, you idiot. It's this. But I think you know the story I'm talking about. He's
Yes.
Chinese. He came up with the Chinese version of Amazon. If you look at his old life, he did not have, he wasn't like CEO of Samsung and then CEO of Honda. And now he created this huge, he was a guy who failed and failed and failed and failed. And not until his late, somewhere in his 40s or 50s,
Yeah.
it popped off for him. And so, you know, that was
And
encouraging to me, because
yeah.
I was like, it's okay I didn't make where I wanted to make it at 30 or 40, because most people take as long as I'm taking to get where I plan on going.
What was your most significant learning experience across the board since you owned your own business?
It's about picking partners, but it's
Mm.
also about what happens when things don't go right.
Okay.
And I started a business with an individual, invented the product, trained the company, built it to where I didn't need to be there. He was cool with that. I'll run the day to day. He convinces me, you should open up another office. So I open up another office. I'm using that income to open this new office. I get about 3 months in and no check in my bank account. And I was like, what's going on? And he goes, oh, well, you've breached our non-compete clause. And I was like, our non-compete clause, we have the same company name. We use the same website. We've split up the states in which we work. And he was just like, yeah, my lawyer told me I don't have to pay you anymore. And I was like, okay. So I went and got a lawyer, and now I'm out probably a couple $1 million, whatever. But here's the longer lesson.
Yes.
How many people have you heard tell you stories like this? I did this and this and this, and then so-and-so ripped me off. And now they're like a mechanic, and nothing wrong with being a mechanic, but
Yes.
they just have a normal everyday job because somebody burned them and hurt them.
Mhm.
Right. I've always said, I refuse to be bitter. So I'm
Yes.
back home visiting and I drive by our office. We have like a 10,000 square foot office. I see his Mercedes. I see his Tahoe. I see all of this stuff. I see all the employees there. Most of them know me because I wrote the script, trained them, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I said in my heart, I could kill that man.
Yes.
Literally. I said that.
Yeah.
As soon as I did, I swung into the parking lot. I parked. I walked in. The receptionist was like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Like, because she knew what had happened, right? And she's like, Al, TM is here for you. And we hadn't talked in like a year and a half, 2 years. He's like, okay, send him up. So I go up to his office and I look at him. I said, Al, I just want you to know, and you might not even think that you need this, but this is maybe more for me than for you. But I want you to know that I forgive you for what happened between us,
Yes.
because I can't live with this anger and bitterness. You
Mhm.
made decisions. I don't understand why you made them or why you did what you did, but I need you to know that I forgive you. He looked across at me. He started bawling.
Mhm.
He said, ever since I did to you what I did, my life is in shambles. My son is in jail for life for a drive-by shooting. My
Mm.
wife caught me cheating in the home. So I lost my marriage, lost my home. The company is not doing well. I'll sign over the company to you right now. Now, I knew that he was doing some shady stuff. I won't get into it. That's not really part of the story. But that was the biggest lesson that I learned is when you have failures, don't find someone else to blame them on.
Yes.
Or even if there is another person to blame them on,
Mhm.
do not harbor the anger and bitterness that will fester inside of you for years to come if you allow it. You must forgive, adapt, and overcome and move forward, or you're going to be stuck at, I'd be a millionaire if Al hadn't ripped me off the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yes.
so that is the biggest lesson I've learned is when the failures come and when people disappoint you and let you down, let it go, move forward, forgive yourself, forgive them, forgive the universe or whatever you believe, and just keep going until you get where you're going to get. And it might take another year, it might take another decade, or in
Yeah.
my case, another couple of decades, and I'm still not quite there yet.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.